Welcome everyone, this is Thomas and it's Autogefühl time again, and you want to see another Volvo. It's not the most modern Volvo, the XC90, the all new one will follow us quite soon. It will also be linked in the video description when it's online. This one here now is the Volvo S60. There's also the V60, the E-State version. This one is a sedan. In Germany it's not that successful, but worldwide it's also quite important for Volvo. And the first generation was running from 2000 until 2010 and the second generation from 2010. And this one here now is in that style since the 2013 facelift. So we had a new headlights here in the front and also, well, pretty masculine front now as well. And we're going to take a look at this sedan here now today. So let's take a detailed design look. First of all, in the front, I think it's a very timeless design. So in maybe 10 years from now, this will still be modern in my opinion. And we've got a quite strong grille here, and this, for example, here, this is for the ACC. We will talk about it later, the automatic cruise control. So this is kind of the sensor that sees how far the car is in front of you. Then the headlights, I talked about it, 2013 in the facelift, they were a little bit updated, that they don't kind of float too much to the lower part of the front grille. I think it's quite fine as it is now. Well, very interesting, it gets also with side profile. So the last thing with the front grille is that we got a small power dome up here. You just see a little slight design line, but it's also well done. And I think that's the basic concept of the car. It's not too exaggerated, and so it also will remain timeless. So let's take a look at the side profile now. You know, I'm a sedan lover. That's not that common in Germany as well, because a lot of people also appreciate E-States here. I really like sedans. And if we take a close look at the design here from the side, it's really that classical design look from the sedan. It's not too exaggerated here the side as well, so also rather conservative. I think that's not too well done here, that we don't have, you know, we have a kind of a break here. This is the horizontal line and then the curved line. I think they can improve that at a further new version that might come soon anyway. But I think it's still some years to come for that car when it's from 2010. Nowadays the life cycles for cars are usually like 7 or 8 years, so this will also remain on the market quite few. If you maybe just step back, then we can see the side profile as a complete car. I think it's a really beautiful car. Maybe one of the most beautiful Volvos so far. Of course, there will be new Volvo models coming now, as they're not dependent from Ford anymore. But at the moment, I think this one is maybe one of the most dynamic ones. Here we got the 17-inch alloys only. I think it's still good. Maybe I would go for the 18-inch alloys because the tires look quite huge there. So 18-inch alloys would be my pick, but I think these ones are already quite beautiful. Then if we continue to the rear, that is kind of a little bit special because the rear lights are kind of popping up a little bit and making a little bit of a 3D effect. Also got this special curve here with the bright part of the rear light. And then if we take a direct look from the rear, it's also a kind of classic sedan, so we don't have too much playing around here with the design as well. The only thing which is quite remarkable are the exhaust. They're of course not that big, but it's kind of this exterior cover that, but I think it's also very well done. It looks a little bit of sporty. If you want to pop it out even more sporty, you can pick the R design line that also includes some sporty exterior features. We've got some photos on our blog that from the V60 in the R design, so you can also take a look at that if you want. One short look at the trunk. Of course, it's a classic sedan trunk, so you don't have too much space here, but it goes in quite steep. But also for a sedan in the middle class here, there are really better trunks to use. You can take the visual here as well. And also for the backrest release, it's not the best system because I have to release them here. There are two hinges I can pull, but then nothing is happening. They aren't flipping themselves. I have to release them here and then flip the seats myself from the inside. About pricing, the Volvo S60, now taking Germany again as example, starts with 28,000 euros. That's actually quite okay, but you know, as with the Volvos, when you pick some additional features, it gets expensive quite easily. This one is now the middle trim level, Momentum. And this car, as it stands here right now, is a D4 diesel. That's also, well, one of the most modern diesels. Also something in the middle from the horsepower range. We land in the combination at about 40,000 euros. And that's, I think, it's a quite good way to buy an S60 if you reach kind of this price here with a, you know, modern diesel and also with the middle trim level. So this one would be also maybe the best pick for the most people. So and now I'm welcoming you here from the driver's perspective, and actually I love the Volvo interiors because they are pretty clean and also have these floating lines everywhere. That's very well done. Starting here with the steering wheel, well, it's kind of huge, so not that sporty concept, but of course it's more a Sedan which is focusing on comfort, so that's also okay for that. What you can't really see that well, but what you can better feel, is that the sides here on the right, on the left, they got a little you know, they're a little bit flat on the sides, so you can very well hold on here. That's a good idea actually. And altogether, also the steering wheel here with this matte chrome element is also very well designed. The buttons feel very good as well, also high quality. That's pretty fine. Actually, here on the left side you can see the control mechanism for the adaptive cruise control, which is, well, here in the Volvo, one of the best systems there is, in my opinion. I can show you later on while driving how that really works. Then if we continue here to the middle console, here we got the manual transmission. I would recommend the automatic gearbox actually. I can tell you later why as well. But in general, you know, the shifting is also, I think, well, it's okay, but it's not actually my favorite. It's also quite long, and the shifting ways are also not that short, so also not that sporty there. Here in the middle you can hide, for example, for your beverages, or here for your basement garage or whatever. I think that's a very nice solution because when it's closed it looks really good. There are also options or special editions where the surface of that cover here is also in that aluminum style that looks even better. And then we got another storage in here, and there's also a USB connection hidden below here for USB, and actually quite steep. That's also quite great if you want to store a very huge bottle there, for example. And then if we go here to the central console, that's actually my favorite. As for this one, you can get this in aluminum style or also optional in wooden style. That's also very classy then. And the turning knobs, they used to be with a kind of cheap rubber around. Here now, well, modern Volvo now, I think it's a good solution. You also got this aluminum style around it. It's still artificial material, of course, but it looks good and also feels quite classy. This is the only thing that reminds us of kind of the old system, that you still got this keypad here for the telephone. It is actually quite good when you want to search some names. For example, a name that is beginning with B, you press this button 2 times, and then you're with the name with B. And then you got the shortcuts here to switch to the GPS, for example. And then in the center screen up there, the GPS is appearing. You do control them not via touchscreen, so it's not a touchscreen, but all below here with this turning knob here. So you, for example, can zoom in and out, and you go back to the menu below here, always a step back or further, and with OK you pick the another step, for example, if you want to hear your music or go to the telephone function. And I think it's a very intuitive system. I get along with it pretty well. And for example, now when I'm on the telephone, I turn left and go to the last calls. I turn right and go to the telephone book, and then can control the names. It's also quite a kind of fast speed, so good reaction times. Of course, it's not the most modern system, but it really works pretty well, and I'm absolutely satisfied with it, even though there's not a touchscreen and you don't really have a controlling button here. So it's maybe not the best for the driver, because you always have to reach out to the middle console. But I think it's still a good distance. If I'm sitting here and then reach out to that button, that works for me. A quite neat feature is the surface here on the dashboard. It is basically hard plastic, but it has this kind of, well, leather-like structure surface. And that's really good because it gives you a little bit more of that quality feeling here in the Volvo. An interesting design feature is also at the inside of the doors. You see there's this line going around here and all the way to the door handle from the inside. So they really thought about that this also looks good. The same accounts for the contrast stitches here on the inside of the doors. And now you can also take a better look at the seats. This is a co-driver seat here now. And I think Volvo is offering one of the best seats there is actually at all, because they are so comfortable and they also look amazing. Look at how much side support they offer, especially also for your higher shoulders. And then there's of course the special headrests here with Volvo. And they got this very nice style also with the contrast stitches here. And they look to be, you know, one piece, not kind of attached on there. And that's a really classy and also very comfortable feeling, because you can really rely on that with your head. Looking at the rear compartment here now, well, basically, yes, it's also very comfortable and also quite of relaxing, because you sit rather in the back. But then again, you see the problem if you really lay back, then, well, your head is a little bit touching here, the ceiling. I'm 1.86 meters, but that would be still okay. But usually I would be sitting like this in here, wouldn't really lay back. And then it's also fine. If you want more headroom here in the rear compartment, however, you should pick the E-State, the V60 then. But then, of course, in my opinion, the Sedan always looks better. The seating in general here is very relaxing as well. And you also got some nice features when you just sit here in the back. The knee room is just like when I'm driving here now, so that's also fine. We're in the middle class segment here. We also got the white contrast stitches here at the back of the seats. So that's kind of a nice handcraft. Also, we got the same kind of design structure at the inside of the doors here in the rear compartment. It's also well done. And kind of interesting, you got an additional vent here for the rear passengers. It's almost like reminding us of the upper class here, right in the side of the B pillar. But you don't have them, for example, here then. But I think maybe they're actually fitted better on the side than they would be here. Here it's, for example, possible to charge something. Whoops. Now putting it back again. Yeah, and then we also got the contrast stitches here onto the seats. So that's all very well done. High class here, also in the rear compartment. I would say basically a very relaxing atmosphere. And what is especially nice here, we have a very nice detail. When you look to the front now, firstly, you of course you can see the shiny aluminum middle console. And if you look at the upper part, the rear mirror is totally frameless. You don't realize it so much when you're thinking or when you're filming in the front, but here you can really see it very well. And this is kind of a very unique feature I haven't seen in other cars, just with the Volvos here. And without the frame, it looks classier. And I think it's also good for the visibility, because there's no big black frame blocking your view. Let's take a look at the engine. You open it here on the right front. Autogefühl hydraulic dampers check is all right. Well, it's not kind of a beautiful view, of course, it's a little bit dirty here now as well, but you know, it's a diesel and you usually don't open the hood here. This one is the 181 or 184, doesn't depend on 1 or 2 horsepower more, diesel engine, D4. One of the most modern ones with lowest consumption. We'll have about 6.5 liters on 100 kilometers. That's quite good, I think. In general, you also get diesels from 115 until 215 horsepower. And of course, petrol engines. And they are, well, about 150 horsepower until 306 horsepower. So quite of a huge range you get there in engines as well. But you should always watch out which are the most modern ones, because you got this new Volvo economic label now with the new modern engines. And I think they really work well, at least because especially the old petrol engines from Volvo, they consume a lot of fuel. So for example, now the 306 horsepower petrol engine, it's almost like driving a V8. So petrol consumption always a problem with the Volvos, but the diesels are very fine. As I said, 6.5 liters here now for that one. I think it's good pick because you got enough torque, but it's of course not a racing machine. But as I will tell you also when driving the car, this one is really more about comfort. It's not a sporty sedan, it's really a comfy sedan. Let's now start the engine. You can do it right here and take a look at the instruments. We got an info screen in the central and the tempo meter around it, RPMs on the right, temperature and other infos on the left or lower right, and we can also switch around. We see this is, for example, the tire pressure. It's a Fox info. The tire pressure is okay, I just checked it. You see that these systems also sometimes fail. Now you can see the general consumption 6.6 liters for this D4 diesel, 184 horsepower. That's quite a good consumption in my opinion. And you also got some more other info here in the central screen. For example, you can also change the styling. When you go contrast, you can change contrast, but here in themes, you can also go to the eco mode. Then you got a green background or the performance mode. And they got a red background and you got the RPMs centrally. And well, the speed on the below the 3 on the upper part. That's also quite nice view. So let's get to some driving impressions here now. Well, the first thing you notice here is when you sit down and start driving, you immediately feel at home. And that's not with a lot of cars, but this car somehow conveys this Autogefühl that says, it's your car and just sit down, relax, cruise, whatever. And that's also the key about this car in general, because it's really not a sporty sedan. We had a lot of sporty sedans lately. This one is really on comfort and luxury. And well, that's not good or bad. Same with the Citroën C4 we had with the compact segment. It's more about what you really want. Here you got this kind of huge steering wheel. Very nice surface, also high quality. The sound isolation could be a little bit better. I think there's some noise coming from the A pillar in the front left, so that could be improved still. But then, for example, here now we are on the Autobahn, and then we are turning it, changing to another Autobahn, and you feel the suspension does not really offer so good support. It's not that you have this stiff, sporty suspension. It's more like traveling around a little bit. So in corners, that's of course not that good. But when you're going straight, you have more comfort. So it's the question of what you want. However, there is also the R-Line available. And with the R-Line also comes 50 millimeters lower suspension. That one is sportier than. We had that already, for example, in the Volvo V60, the E-State version. And actually I think it was quite good because it was still comfortable but offered you a little bit more of this sporty contact with the road. Here, for my purpose, it would be a little bit too soft, but it's again the question of what you really want. But I can really recommend the 50mm lower suspension here for the Volvo S60 as well. As for shifting, we got the manual transmission here now. I mentioned one time already. I would really not go for it. Because, well, the 5th and 6th gear is quite okay, but especially when you're like in 2nd here or 3rd, well, you feel a little bit of resistance, and that's not that a good quality in my opinion. So I don't really like how the gears are actually shifted here. Also, the shifting ways are quite long, doesn't feel too sporty, and especially because the automatic gearbox here in the Volvos is so superb. They usually use now in the modern versions with the newest diesels, for example, they use the ZF8 speed transmission, and that is, in my opinion, at the moment the best one there is. So I would definitely pick the automatic gearbox here because that's a very good solution. So let's get to some more speed now, and what is very Well, the best system on the market with the Volvo here is the automatic cruise control. We control it here on the steering wheel. I activate it with the button here. And then I just have to click on plus. Then he maintains the speed I have right now. That's about 100 kilometers an hour. And then I can also change the distance with that button here if I want to have more distance to the car in front of me or less distance. So kind of easy. You don't have another extra column here. For example, with Mercedes, you maybe mistake with the turning indicator. So I think it's a good solution. And now when another car is in front of us, the car now automatically reduces the speed. And we can see the distance here to the car in front of us is maintained exactly at that level. And this system works so flawlessly, you totally trust in it. However, now with the manual gearbox, now we can see it a bit better. Reduces to 80 now, 70, and it's all fine. All working totally smooth, absolutely no problem. And then again, the acceleration process is starting. Very special here with the manual gearbox, you can see it right now here. When I change gears, the system's still working. And that's not common, because usually, so I just had to clutch in and then change the gear. Usually, the most systems, when you have the manual transmission, the system stops and you have to activate it here again. Here it really works when you shift the gears and just use the clutch. So that's really remarkable. However, the automatic cruise control is always better in combination to the automatic gearbox, in my opinion, because then it also reduces the speed until 0 kilometers. And that's really the perfect combination here with the Volvo. So my trim level tip is definitely pick the automatic gearbox and the automatic cruise control, because they're especially good here in the Volvos. And well, then maybe reduce some other features in that case, because these features together are also very well done for safety. So I'm totally relaxed here with the automatic cruise control, and well, however, with a manual transmission, I have to brake myself at about 40 kilometers an hour, but then I also get an acoustic and a visual sign of that, though that's also okay. But the comfort, especially here with the headrest I mentioned in the static description, they are also so soft, and because to this kind of Volvo design swing, they come closer to your head. So just when normal driving I can really use the head restraint and just relax here. Maybe it's even a little bit dangerous because you feel so comfortable that you may make it tired. But it's really so relaxing and so soft just from the headrest. You can really relax in that car. And then it's also good to have the safety feature with the very well working ACC. And then again, the seats, I can just stress that they are really maybe the best on the market, because they also offer this side support here and the higher shoulders. It's not only a sporty feature, but also a feature that helps you really on long journeys. So let's conclude about the Volvo S60. It's of course not the most modern car anymore, but it's really a timeless design, and I think still a very beautiful car. And it has a lot of comfort really. So if you want a middle class sedan with this comfort focus, you should really go for that one. The other middle class sedans, I must say, they're of course also quite comfortable, but they're more on that sporty side. Here you don't really get the sporty side, not from the steering, not from the suspension, and not from anything else. Of course, if you want to have that Volvo, maybe also because of the design and because it's not that often on the streets, you can also pick, as I said, the R design with the lowered suspension, 50 millimeters lower. Then you also got a little bit more contact to the road. That might be a clever choice then as well. In general, well, we don't have the most practical trunk, also not the most practical rear department, but we have the great comfort seats, so very high class seats, and we got a nice technical side as well, for example with a great automatic cruise control. And overall you really feel very safe in this car. Not maybe in the fast corners because you lack the sporty side, but you more tend to go on a very relaxed manner here. So you reduce the speed, relax, just feel safe in that car, also with the serious safety features Volvo is offering, for example with this city emergency brake, which should be included in every car in my opinion nowadays. Well, Volvo does it, not all the other manufacturers so far. So these were my impressions from this car. I look forward to your comments, and we always try to fulfill all your wishes, what car you want to see next. Of course we cannot fulfill every wish, but we're really trying hard to do so. So thank you very much. See you at the next Autogefühl episode.